Hey everyone, I'm Mitchell, and welcome back to Let's Unpack That. I am so excited to have a friend of the pod guest hosting with me today. He has been traveling across the country in the Tina Turner musical. Joe Hornberger, welcome back. How are you?
Mitchell, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Things are good. Things are wrapping up. Those 10 months went by really, really quickly.
And by the time this comes out, I'll have seen it.
Yes, so we'll record two endings. We'll be like, I loved it so much, you were fantastic. And then we'll also record, I hated it so much, you were horrible. And then we'll pick the best one.
Perfect. Today, I can't keep saying the word excited. Today
Elated.
I'm thrilled, elated, jubilant. Do you want me to say Nick or Nico?
Nick is great.
Okay, because I've noticed like variations in your branding.
I know I'm really inconsistent with that, but I think Nick Alvino is solid.
Okay, beautiful. I support both, no matter what brand you choose. I mean, great.
By the end of this, maybe I'll go by Nico.
We'll record all options.
Well, Nico is kind of like an alter ego.
Oh. Wait, let's unpack that.
Well, like anytime I do like photo shoots and stuff like that, and the photographer's like, "Do you go by Nick or Nico?" I say Nico just to like feel a little feisty.
Yes.
Work. Okay, maybe I should keep that all in. We're actually going to discover your true identity at the end of this.
Yeah, all of it. I'm actually Nicholas.
Well, Nick Alvino, welcome to Let's Unpack That. How are you?
I'm amazing. Thank you for having me. I can't wait to unpack that.
There's so much to unpack. We're going to get into your story and everything. But before we get into that, I love to set the tone with hyperfixations. The last time Joe was here, he made me explain. And since then, I've established a spiel that I give in every single episode.
Have I really? I've changed the trajectory of...
You're so influential.
Truly, I'm like a tariff of Let's Unpack That.
You are.
You're welcome, listeners.
But Nick, if you're not familiar, if anyone who's listening isn't familiar with the hyperfixation, I feel like I have something that I'm obsessed with every single day, month, week, hour, and it changes. Sometimes it's really niche, sometimes it's really big, and sometimes there's no space or opportunity to share that because it's just something that's like just so peculiar that no one else really wants to hear about it. But I feel like a podcast with gay people talking is a great place to share those things. Mm-hmm. So I love to have us each share whatever we're obsessed with. I can go first, and then Joe and Nick. This past weekend, I went to the Cowboy Carter tour, and it was everything. So fun.
Oh, in Chicago?
In Chicago, yes. Sure.
Were you night 1 or 2 or 3?
I went night 2, so I had Honey Balenciaga with the lasso.
Yes.
We had good weather. It wasn't 40. It wasn't a tornado.
You didn't have the storms.
No.
Mitchell, what did you wear to the concert? Did you have like a fun outfit, or you were like...
It wasn't that revolutionary. I was giving Abercrombie, but it was cute.
It was so cute. You fit the vibe.
I helped my friend, because my friend Jeff is going to the concert on Thursday, and we rhinestoned like their shirt. And it looks so cute. I was like, I need to start rhinestoning my clothes.
I tried. So hold on, let me pull up this photo. So my plan was to rhinestone this entire tank top for Cowboy Carter. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was going to be really easy. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever tried to do. I got 3 hours in, and it was that.
Wait, you stopped?
Yes, it took 3 hours, Nick.
3 hours?
Oh, but you're going to keep going, right?
No, I don't have more time.
So you're just going to like half the shirt is...
I got a different outfit. No, I ordered something else.
Oh, that's so sad. I threw that away. But that was 3 hours of your life, boo. Hey, for the next one.
For the next time.
For the next time, yeah.
Stoning takes forever. I was gagged.
I know, that's why you need like a group of people and you make it like a night. Yes. My hyperfixation, I have to say it now because I just thought of it. I keep saying the word boots, and I don't even really know what the fuck that means, but I keep saying it like all the time. And I think one of my friends, he's a little older, and he was like, what? Like, what are you, boots? I was like, yeah, Gen Zs are saying boots. But I couldn't really describe like what that actually means. But I think it means like...
Yes.
But I kind of say it after every sentence now.
Mitchell will edit every single one out.
Yeah, so I'll have to edit out your legs, ums, and boots.
I also probably say like and literally and totally like so much. And now you guys are going to clock it every time I say it. And I am too.
You're okay, Nick. I'll edit those out too.
This podcast is going to be 2 minutes long. It's just we're editing everything out.
Who is Nick Alvino? Boots. Thank you for listening.
And thank you for
listening so much.
Oh God.
Joe, what is your hyperfixation?
I think my hyperfixation for the last like 2 months has been figuring out my outfit for the Cowboy Carter tour. Like it'll be like 3 a.m. not being able to sleep because I don't know what time zone I'm in. Just like hitting purchase and like Apple Pay from like those horrible Instagram shops. of like slutty corsets and like women's tops that I'm like, I think this looks good. I don't know how many tops I have coming to my apartment.
If they come, because you got them on Instagram.
And not even the fun kind, like clothes, the disappointing tops.
Right.
Well, Nick, let's get into your story and who you are. I love to start these with a simple question. You can answer it however you'd like. Think of it as almost like a elevator pitch.
Top or bottom?
Asking the real questions. But who is Nick Alvino?
Good question. I'm Nick Alvino. I am 5'9". I am based in New York City, and these are my hands. No, okay. Do you know when you have to do self-tapes, you have to show your hands?
Really?
Front and
Yeah,
back.
it's horrific.
Why? What are they doing? Fingerprint scans?
No, I think it's like to see if you have like ugly ass hands. No?
It literally is for ugly hands. It's like for McDonald's when you have to like hold a burger. They'll be like, show us your hands. It's so demoralizing. And then when you don't book it, you're so insecure about your fucking hands.
Yeah. And you're like, it was my fucking hands that didn't get me the job. Even though you probably did like a 2-minute monologue and
I couldn't dunk a chicken nugget good enough.
Yeah, there's some like wild self-tapes in my day.
Horrible.
Not a self-tape person. I'm way more of like an in-person person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but who is Nick Alvino?
Sorry. Back to the fucking question. Oh my God. I am from the beautiful island of Long. Nassau County, baby. I have 2 sisters and a brother and a mom and dad. I grew up with a dog that was blind and had an ear infection. So she didn't really do much. It was kind of like a prop. And we couldn't really move the furniture growing up because she was just bumping into all the walls. Anyways, love her. Gigi, rest in peace, girl. Love you. And yeah, I grew up really close to the city, but I never really came into the city growing up. I did like a lot of sports growing up too. And I didn't really start dancing until I was like 10, I think. Or 10, 11 or something like that. I like took it really seriously dancing when I was in high school. And then that kind of led to me going to college for it. And then now I'm living in Manhattan, Hell's Kitchen.
Broadway star.
Oh, yeah, you could say that.
Broadway star.
You mentioned that you grew up in Long Island. What was it like there? Like, what was the community? Set the scene for us.
Well, funny enough, my parents like went to high school together, and like my aunt and my uncle, like everyone just went to high school together. So I think it's safe to say that if you are from Levittown, Long Island, you're probably going to be there for the rest of your life. Most people that like are from Long Island don't really leave it. It's like a pretty safe, like small community. But if you're from there, everyone kind of knows everyone there. But it's pretty Republican there. And I knew from an early age that I was like pretty different than everyone, but I was a little naive about it all. Like I didn't let that like bother me. And now that like looking back, I was always like, oh wow, I really like stood out in a big way. Like there was like no gay people in my town or like my high school and stuff like that. But I never was shy about it, which is like kind of slight looking back at it. But
yeah, like you didn't let like their likely pressure to conform get to you.
No, I'm the youngest in my entire family too. So I just was listening to like my cousin, like a really big family. And we would hang out like every Sunday, and I knew that I was really different than everyone, but I didn't know like how to deal with it in any way. But once I figured out that I was gay, I kind of just like leaned into it. Not as much as I do now, but like I slowly got there. I had my girls and I had sisters too. So I always wanted to like hang with them and like do what they were doing. And I was also playing a lot of sports at the time because my dad was a professional lacrosse player, and he was just like a big athlete. And so are my sisters. They're like D1 athletes. And my mom too, but I feel like I have to say that she would get annoyed if I didn't. She could hold her own. She played, well, my parents live in Florida now, and they play like softball and pickleball, and like they're on like leagues and stuff like that. But they just moved there, and it's like this older community, if you will. And they're like the young ones. They're like the young cool ones.
They're
like,
the
yeah,
hot,
you're the
fun
only
new
one
ones.
that won't break a hip. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're like running. So they're like,
Where in Florida did they go?
They're thriving. They're in Fort Myers.
Oh, Fort Myers is a blast. Yeah, they're fine.
As you've been mentioning, you dance professionally. When did that all start for you? Like you mentioned around 10 to 11 years old, right?
Yeah. Well, so like I said, I was doing like a whole bunch of sports.
Let's talk about sports first then. Like what sports were you doing and when did that happen?
Before I even could walk, like I was just put into like, I think like t-ball, and then I did like soccer. And I am an athletic person, but I didn't typically like enjoy anything I was doing. And I felt weird. I was like, what? Like everyone loves doing sports, but I just was like, I feel like I had to do it. Lacrosse is my least favorite because the stick and then the equipment was so heavy. Hated that. I liked flag football because I didn't have to like tackle anyone. I kind of just can run away from everyone and just snap. Like flag football is so gay. You just like grab the flag and you're like, but I was actually like pretty fucking good at it. I was like diving for bitches.
Wow.
Grabbing that flag. And then I went into dance. I was dancing at all like block parties and stuff like that. Like my mom would always see me dancing. And my sister actually just sent me like videos of me as like a kid. And I was like, hey, like, and I'm like, you guys didn't fucking know. In 5th grade talent show, I was like, I'm going to dance. And I opened the show to Like a G6. Do you guys know that song?
Yes.
It was actually a remix. I think it started with Black Eyed Peas. Let's get it started in here. So I opened the show with that, and then it like went into Like a G6.
Now you're doing mashups already.
Yeah, bitch, I was ahead of my time, but I was definitely the best one because after I went, everyone was like going crazy, and I was like, oh my god, this feels amazing. And that was probably like a big moment for me that I didn't even realize at the time. That was like, oh, I'm like supposed to like I'm really good at this. But someone that was also in the talent show in 5th grade was my friend Olivia, who I'm really close with. And she is like did competitive dance. And she was like, you should come to my studio and dance. And I was like, I don't know. And I was so afraid to start dancing, even though I did it for my talent show. But I just remember being like terrified to go and do it. And then my dad was like, you can only do hip hop. And I was like, okay, fine. Like he didn't want me to do ballet. He had his own shit about that shit. So I was like, fine. And I did one class and the dance was Glamorous by Fergie. I was like, these song choices, you're really testing me.
Correct.
So I did one dance and I remember talking to, it was like a dance studio and I did it at the recital. There was another boy, not in my dance, just like in a different one. And he like came up to me and was like, hey, does anyone know that like you're dancing? Like, do you tell anyone in school? I just remember having this conversation. And I was like, oh, not really. And he was like, same. And we were both like in the closet about dance. I was like that for like a couple of years of like dancing. And then once I started like spending most of my time doing that, I kind of like accepted. I was like, oh, this is my life right now. Once I started competing, I think I was like 13. I was doing it like every single day for like Monday through Friday after school. It was like, it like totally took over my life. I would like go to school. I did like the school play. And then I went straight to like dance class. And then I would do like competitions on the weekend.
And this was all hip hop?
I think one year I did hip hop. That was like my first year. And then I did jazz and tap, but I still didn't do ballet. When I was in high school and I joined the new studio, my dad was like, you should take ballet if you're going to like take this seriously.
So joining ballet is so late though. Because technically, I mean, if you look at like your timeline of things, like that's late to start ballet training. So would you have considered yourself very just naturally gifted as a dancer to start?
Well, I always had a lot of energy. And I was super athletic. So like all of like being grounded and that helped a lot, but technique wise, like did not have it. But once I started taking jazz, I was like stretching every day. My dance teacher was like, if you're watching TV, just like go into a split and like watch it. And I did. I kind of felt like fierce as fuck, like being 12 years old, just like watching TV in a split.
In your kitchen, in your living room.
I was like, and what about it? But yeah. And then once I started doing ballet, I think I was like 13, maybe like 13, 14. And that's when I started competing too. And then I did like so many more classes and stuff like that, but it was pretty late. And I did wish like thinking back at it, I wish I started earlier because I see these kids that are like 9 years old that are fucking incredible.
Wild.
It's funny, like we're fast forwarding here a little bit, but for Music Man, when I was auditioning, I was in the audition room with like 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds and their moms were like, get into a split. They were like, do a back handspring. These kids were throwing themselves everywhere.
Crazy.
They were insane parents, but the kids were incredible because their parents were probably their dance teachers.
Right.
And I was like, I didn't even know what a plie was when I was your age. Like kind of insane. What was where are we at?
When you like made that transition to like starting to explore other genres of dance, do you feel like your dad became more accepting?
I think so. Totally. Especially when I was going to college for it. And it was time to like look at schools. He never did anything like this. Like he helped my sisters get into other schools with like scholarships for sports and stuff because that's what they went for. But he was like, I have no idea how to do this stuff. And I think I asked some people how to do it, but I only applied to like 2 schools and I had to go in an audition. And I remember my dad being so freaking nervous for it, which I thought was cute. But like I went in, we had to do for Montclair, we had to do ballet, a whole ballet class and a whole modern class, but they were teaching it at like the top level. And I was like, oh, I'm getting cut. Like that was the worst audition I've ever had in my life. But then I got kept, but I think it's because there was only like 5 boys in that audition and they need boys in their program.
And he was really proud of you and supportive, which is great to hear.
Absolutely. Especially with like career in dance. Like he loves that I'm like, I do what I do. My whole family does. Like they're crazy. Like they would come to every single one of my shows and like put my face on like printed out my face and put them on like sticks. And then like while the show was happening, like lift them up. And I was like, can you like, what, this is not a baseball game.
That is Long Island right there.
Yeah. That's how they showed their love, which I really am grateful for that. Cause I know not everyone has like a supportive like system like that. And that was always something that I never doubted that they would support me in, like, especially because I started like at competitions, like winning and stuff like that. He was like, okay, the money we're spending for you to dance is like worth it. And then once I said I want to go to college for it, like it all worked out. But I really wasn't good at school. Like I was fine. Like I got good grades, but I was never like into anything. I kind of like got by. I was always like, my teachers loved me. So I think they just like,
when were you supposed to be doing your schoolwork? I mean, you were always in rehearsal, right?
And I knew that too. Like I was like, this is what I'm going to be doing. Like there was never any doubt that I would do anything else other than what I'm doing right now, which is pretty awesome. But I was like, this is like my life right now. Like dance is my life. So I kind of just spent all my energy doing that, but school is just not for me. I even said that when I went to college. I was like, I don't want to do all of these extra stupid classes. Like,
why are we in statistics?
Yeah.
Why? No more math.
Abolish that.
Abolish math.
Abolish the Pythagorean theorem.
I don't think Gage should have to take math or science.
Science can be cool.
What kind of science is cool? Science is cool.
I liked physics.
Like
Okay.
Nick
also was a bully.
I'm in my bully era. Doesn't Bill Nye say science is cool?
Didn't Bill Nye die?
Recently?
No, he's alive. He's alive.
Who am I thinking of? He's alive. Sorry.
Bill Nye was also on Dancing with the Stars.
Work. See, you can do science and dance.
Exactly. But I'm pretty sure in the Bill Nye, the science guy, and it says like, science is cool.
Yeah, no, it like science rules.
Yeah,
science rules. Yeah.
Also, that brings me back to. Did you guys have to listen to Reading Rainbow?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's in
what
a
the fuck
book.
is that?
It's
Reading Rainbow.
It's Reading Rainbow. Yes.
Yeah, bitch. If you're listening to this and you know what Reading Rainbow is, you're a real one.
Okay, well, you mentioned that you were really booked up in high school with all your dance classes.
I had to take dance in school too.
What?
Well, we had like a dance elective in high school too, but I literally was teaching the class.
Oh my gosh! Okay, professor. Okay.
Yeah, I was a freshman. Like, I remember like choreographing dances for like the show and stuff.
Abby Lee Miller.
He had his little pyramid. He was like.
I watched all of Dance Moms, and when I turn my TV on, Dance Moms comes up, and that honestly like got me into like competition. I was just like, I started competition dance that was airing. It was a whole thing. I love Abby Lee Miller, and I got to meet her. It was like such a full circle experience. Not that I think that Abby Lee Miller is like the queen of dance, but because I always watched her and like watching those group dances, on Dance Moms, like that Maddie Ziegler. If I meet Maddie Ziegler, I'll freak out because like I think she's amazing.
Wild. My favorite thing in New York right now is seeing randomly Abby Lee Miller zoom on her wheelchair throughout Hell's Kitchen.
Everywhere. Yes, she was. I saw that the other day. She's passing theaters. She's like, saw that. That was good. Yeah.
Zoom with her assistant like running behind
just, like,
her.
Like sprinting to find
holding
her.
all her shit.
Well, when you weren't instructing class or taking classes outside of school, like, were you like talking to guys at all in high school, or were you just on the grind?
I remember when I started dance, I think I was 13. I had my first competition, and someone came up to me and was like, "Are you gay?" And I was like, no, like ran out of the room. And I will never forget that. I was like petrified, but I was a little like excited about that question. I was like, oh my God, am I gay? I came out when I was 15, and my friend was like, oh my God, there is this gay in the other school in my town. He's really cute. And he actually was really cute. And she was like, you should talk to him. So like we messaged each other on Instagram. And then one day we like hung out, and this is before I like came out to like anyone, which was kind of cool. It was just, but his family was like super okay with it. So I would always go to his house, and my dad was like, you need to stop hanging with girls and hang with guys. So I was like, okay, I'll hang with Connor. And then I'm like kissing Connor in his room. But we were together for like a year and a half. So that was like right before I came out. And then when I did come out, it actually was easier to have someone like him to like, I already started to kind of know who I was. And he was helping me a lot with that. And he was just like, I would always go to him for that. He helped me through the whole thing. I did go to prom with Connor. We did go to prom together junior year.
Aww.
See, that's revolutionary.
In Long Island too. Like it was like all these boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. And then it was like 2 boys on the end. I was wearing a purple tie. He was wearing a blue tie. And then I had a blue shirt. We coordinated. But I always look back, I'm like, that was so sweet.
It is sweet.
The only thing was like my sisters would always have like their prom at my house. Like, because my house is like the party house, I guess. And like, they always had like everyone from their class like come and they would take pictures at my house and then they would go to prom. And I assumed I would do that at mine. But then when I told my dad I was taking my boyfriend, he was like, you're not having pictures here. So we went somewhere else. But it's weird too. Like people in my class were like, oh, we're probably going to yours, right? And I was like, no, not this year. But I felt so safe like at school and everyone like respected me. And like when I had a boy there, like they met him. So go class of 2018 at Division Avenue High School for making...
2018 is so depressing. Mitchell, we're ancient.
I'm the same as him.
I'm the crypt keeper.
Oh, shit.
I'm 2013.
You graduated high school at 2013?
Yeah.
Are you also 24, Mitchell?
I'm 25.
When was your birthday?
July 29th, 99.
So you're turning 26?
Yes.
Then how are you the same year in high school?
I was born 3 months early. And so...
Oh, wow. So you're the one.
We have like dates for like when you go to each grade. So my parents like held me back a year.
Oh, so you were probably the smartest fucking kid in class.
I guess. I feel like I like still like kind of took me longer to like develop things and like learn because of like just being born early, I guess. That's like
oh, you were like a preemie.
Yeah, I lived in a little glass box for 3 months and the nurse had to flick me so I would remember to breathe.
I'm not laughing because that's not funny, but like saying you have to get flicked every day.
I hate being flicked. Don't fucking flick me.
But a glass box, baby, that's chic.
Where were we?
I'm hopeful that your dad like has come around since then and is a little bit more. Do you feel like he's more accepting
With
now?
Me being
gay, yeah.
I think he's like accepted it. We don't talk about it, but I think if I did talk about it, I don't think he would be like be mean or say anything like.
We'll get to it, but he came to Death Becomes Her, right?
Oh, yeah. I didn't tell my family a single thing about that show before going in. The cast album was not out. Like, no one knew a damn thing. I did send them some of my costumes. And my dad was like, where's the rest of the costume? And I was like, sorry, this is what I'm wearing.
We'll get to that. So just put a pin in it. College, you went to Montclair State. What was the transition like for you from high school to college?
It wasn't crazy. I'm so happy I got into Montclair because we didn't have to take SATs or ACTs.
And where was that school?
It's right outside the city. It's in Jersey. So
okay.
I knew I wasn't really far from home. It was like only an hour drive from Long Island. I was excited to dance all the time, but going into school, my like senior recital, I guess, I think I hurt my knee. But I didn't think anything of it. And then dancing in college was insane. It was like Monday, 8:30 ballet class. And then I would dance the entire day until like 8 p.m. And it was like that for like every week from like Monday through Friday. And the first week, we like did all of our auditions to like see what pieces we get into and like had our first classes and stuff and like where we get evaluated. So I got through that week and then I had to go to get surgery on my knee because I tore my meniscus.
Dang.
Well, it was actually my second week of school.
Okay, but wow. For having a torn meniscus, though, Nick, your dancing is untouchable.
Oh, right now you're saying?
For having like knee surgery. Yeah.
Well, thank you for saying that. There's a lot of things that I can't do. Like, I can't really like sit on my feet.
Can you give the listeners like a description? Like, where is the meniscus and how can tearing that impact you as a dancer?
Everyone grab your knee. It's on the inside of the knee. And it was like, I don't think I tore it. I think it was a tear. So it wasn't like insane, but anytime I like bent my knee, I heard like a crack and I was like, this is not good. And it like hurt a lot. I was out for 6 weeks. It was sad to see like all my friends that I barely like knew yet from school, like all dancing together. And I was just like watching them all dance. And I was like, oh, I want to dance with them. And there was one class where I was sitting because I had to take notes every ballet class. Kill me. And I was spelling every word wrong. Like I couldn't even fucking spell tendu. One of my teachers was like, oh, you're doing this wrong. If you do it like this, you're going to end up injured like Nick. And then everyone like looked at me and I was like, fucking rude.
On the floor, like crutches. Like
yeah, I was like hunched over like, girl, really? You're going to call me out when I'm struggling? But once I was back into dance, the hours were pretty long. So if I was over dancing and stuff like that, it would hurt, but it wasn't the pain that I had. And the surgery was like really quick too, but I had to ice it. I had this huge machine. I literally forgot about this. I like kind of block out college a lot because it was so fast for me. And then COVID happened. So it doesn't feel like college was real. It was only like a year. But yeah, I danced a lot in college. I did 3 semesters. And then my 3rd semester that I was there, which was like the beginning of sophomore year, I decided to be a double major into theater. And I did the shows at Montclair too. Like I did the musicals because I was friends with a lot of the theater majors because I just liked their dance classes better because they got to do jazz and tap and stuff. And I was like, oh, I want to take that. So I did it. I was friends with all of them. They told me to audition for the shows and stuff. And then I got in. And then the head of the program for musical theater was like, you should audition for it. And then I did, and I got in. So then I was a double major my 3rd semester. My schedule was already so packed, but now having double major, I remember one time I went home for like Thanksgiving and my dad was like, how are you? Like he picked me up from the train station and I just started sobbing and he was cracking up. He was like, are you joking? Like, are you okay? I was like, I can't do this. It was just
actually,
so
how
much.
were you? Were you sleeping? What was your schedule like when you were juggling all of that? Like, what was your day to day?
I remember doing just like early ballet classes. Then I would take like music theory because anytime that the dance majors had a break, that's when the musical theater majors had their classes. So it was just like, I was running to class. I had to do like costumes and lighting. It's like all that like backstage stuff. And I hated doing like theory and, what's the other thing you have to do? Oh, like oral something where you had to like guess the pitch of the thing. It was a mess. I was bad at all of it. I just wanted to perform. And then I was in the musical that semester too, which we were doing Urinetown. Love that show. At the end of the semester, I got an email because I submitted a tape for Music Man. Like the beginning of the semester, I submitted the tape. And then December.
Were you like actively auditioning?
No, we're not allowed to audition in school. I'm sure you guys, did you have that, Joe?
We weren't allowed either. Yeah, we weren't allowed.
They don't want you to audition and shit.
What led you to submit an audition then?
I did a theme park that summer at Holiday World in Indiana. Dude, the place is called Santa Claus, Indiana. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Oh my God, it was crazy. But that was my first contract. I was like, I'll say it. It's like RWS. Every like part of the park was a different holiday, and I was in 4th of July, and that's where like our thing was. It was
so
like
patriotic.
Yeah. It was like a magic show or whatever, but there was a lot of dancing with it.
Okay.
Anyways, I feel like I'm like not answering any of these questions.
This is like a Nick Alvino Eras tour or something.
Truly.
If you're still with me,
the patriotic magic show.
Why I'm bringing this up is my friend who I lived with. Like when she drove me to the airport and I was like flying home because I was in Indiana for the entire summer before my 3rd semester of college. She sent me like this open call for Music Man that they were looking for like Tommy Gillis, which is like one of the dancers in the show. And I couldn't go to the open call, but on the bottom of the thing, it said like submission. And then the day that it was the deadline, that's when I submitted my tape, obviously, because I do everything last minute.
Yep.
And I was with my friend Zach. I was up till 3 a.m. just tapping in a studio, like trying to like submit everything. We had to do sides. I had to sing a song. I had nothing in my book. I didn't know what I was doing, but I submitted all my stuff in September, didn't hear back. So I was just like, okay, that's just not for me. But in December, literally one of the last days of the semester, I got an email and I didn't check it until like 10 p.m. And they were like, hey, we have a spot available for you to audition for Music Man tomorrow. Can you come at 10 a.m.? And thank God I didn't have any classes or anything the next day. I'm so happy. If I didn't see that email, my life would be completely different. It's crazy. I didn't have an agent, so I just checked it randomly. And then I went to that audition the next day. And it was so cool. People have been auditioning for the show for a while, and this was some people's like final callbacks, but for me it was my first one because they were still looking for a cover for this guy. Mm-hmm. And I was like one of the oldest in the room, but they were really looking at all the kids. Learned this dance call, they made cuts, did it again for like the team because like the director came in, and then they asked me to read for this role, and I did that. They asked me to sing. I was there from like 10 to like 6, and then I had my callback like later that month. And then I had another callback in January, and then I booked it in January of 2020. We were supposed to start March of 2020, and then you know what happened. We all know what happened. Boom happened.
What was it like finding out you got the role?
I was in a Taco Bell, the one literally on my block, which is so funny. It was after the final callback. I was like so exhausted. Because I've been just like when you're in finals for something like that, that's literally the only thing you think about. Like you fall asleep and you wake up and you're thinking about it. So I was relieved that it was over, but I did think I got like cut, and I was like, oh, I don't think it's like going my way. I always feel like that after an audition, but you never know. My agent called me out of Taco Bell.
Cantina,
bitch. Yes.
the Gershwin Theater Taco Bell.
Yes.
Where dreams come true.
It was my first time ever eating Taco Bell too, and I threw up. So that's how I felt. But then I called like my mom and my dad because they all knew I was in callbacks for it and stuff. And I think I spent the entire rest of the day on my phone when I wasn't throwing up because I was calling like all my family that I knew and stuff because they all knew like I was going through that, and it just happened so fast. It wasn't like Broadway was always something like I would go to see a Broadway show like once a year during Christmas time. And it was always something that like felt not close because I was like, oh, like that would be fun, but that seems impossible. And then for this, just to like, it really kind of did like fall in my lap. It was like my first audition. I got so lucky. It was like right place, right time. I obviously like worked my ass off, but I didn't know what I was working towards until I got this. I couldn't even imagine a better scenario happening other than COVID happening. But I do think that it's for the best because I was 19 when I got it. And then we were in COVID for like almost 2 years. And then we didn't start until 2021 of the fall. But we were like the show that was like coming to Broadway. I was a little nervous it was going to get canceled, but the producers like reached out during the pandemic and like checked in, and then they asked for measurements. And then I was like, oh, is this happening? And I knew like 2 other people that booked it. So we were like messaging the whole time. We're like, did you hear anything? And we knew Hugh Jackman was attached to it and Sutton Foster. So once we knew that it was definitely happening, I just like had so much fun during the pandemic because I was just like hanging out with like family. And
yeah, it feels better that you all didn't open prior because like the stress of like, are we coming back was like everyone's nightmare versus are we going to start? And that project, I feel like nobody was scared of going away.
And knowing that that show was at the end of the tunnel, like I was like, oh, I'm so like once this is over, like I have something to like really look forward to. Like it was wild. But it's funny to like get it when I was 19, and then I didn't start until I actually turned 21. I moved here on my 21st birthday.
Sweet.
That's so main character of you.
I know.
It really is.
Honestly, if you're gonna move to a city, move on your birthday because people will just get you gifts and stuff. They were like, oh, it's your housewarming, it's your birthday. Like, let me just like furnish your apartment.
When you moved to New York in September 2021, did you know that the show was going to be starting up again?
Yes. I wouldn't have moved if I didn't know that. And my cousin like hooked me up with this apartment that it was on the same block as the theater that I was going to. And I'm glad I moved in September because it gave me like a month and a half to like kind of figure out the city a little bit, even though I really didn't figure it out until Music Man was over because I couldn't leave. But I started in like the end of October was like when we started like rehearsals and stuff.
Once you get into those rehearsals, like what does that look like? Like what is the day-to-day of that? Is it very similar to what like a traditional show would be like in rehearsals, or is it different?
They did pre-pro. Like pre-pro is like the choreographer like brought other people into a room and maybe some people that were actually in the show into a room, and then he would like choreograph with those people before going in to see what it looked like before going in with the cast so that he could just like teach us and then we'll be done. We learned the show so fast. Like we were getting choreo thrown at us.
Who choreographed Music Man?
His name is Warren Carlisle.
Yes, it was Warren Show.
That was an interesting reaction to his name from Nick.
No, he's huge.
He's a big he just did like Pirates and stuff. I knew he liked me because of like auditioning, and I had a good impression then, but it was pretty scary. Like it was a really young cast, and his method of like teaching us was a little we were all like competition kids, so we kind of felt like we were competing with each other when we were learning the show. It didn't feel like we were doing it all together.
How did it feel walking into that type of environment?
I didn't know that it was going to be like that until we were in it, and I was like, this is... And also it was COVID, so we didn't hang out during rehearsal. We when we were on our 5 or 10, like we didn't really talk. Like it was an interesting thing, and I'm someone who like loves people. I love a cast, like get to know each other. And we couldn't do that. So we were just like in show mode. We learned it. We went home. We came back the next day. We learned it. And I remember our last rehearsal, we all got drinks after because we're like, yay, we did it. And we got drinks and we were all talking for probably like 5 hours. Just like being like, that was pretty scary and awful, right? Like it was because it was so intense, but we couldn't like talk about any of the fucked up shit that were happening. Like it wasn't.
And it was a lot of their debuts,
like,
wasn't it? Like it wasn't like half the cast debuts.
Yeah, We didn't know what to expect. There was like 21 debuts in the show, but the older people were like, they knew what was up.
Were you walking in and like you would learn all the choreography and practice it and then go home and do more like independent stuff and then like have to come back and it be perfect? Or
I think he has really high standards, so we really did have to go home and like work, like go in the next day knowing everything that we learned. And also during the rehearsal, I'm not someone to write shit down. Like I just need to be.
I mean, you said earlier you can't even like spell words right when you're writing. So I mean, what does he expect?
Not too much.
And look, sometimes I do it just to like have it down. But I'm someone like if I'm doing it on my feet, I got it. Like I'm solid. So I was writing some shit down. I still have like my notebook and stuff. But for the most part, it was like we got our call sheet like the day before, and it was like we're gonna do this number. We're gonna do like 76 trombones from this time to this time, and then we're going to go do like Marian Librarian from this time to this time, and then you have a break. Like it was so we knew what we were going in, and the first like week or two we did music. The music was easy because we barely sung, honestly, or the songs we were singing, it was just like, well, Fargo wagon, wasn't crazy. And then we would put it on our feet, which I was so excited to do. And we would go learn the number. We would probably finish the number that day, like each number, and then I would go home and probably like go over it, and I would text my friends and stuff like that, like, hey, what is this step? Or like we would talk about it, but we didn't like hang out, and then just go in the next day and then do it. But a lot of the times something Warren did was like he would teach us something new, and then he would be like, okay, Nick, go, and then I would have to do it in front of everyone. And then he'll be like, this person, and then like his name is JT, he'll be like, JT, do it. And I'll be like, I like JT's winning. Let me see it. And like, you do it. And a lot of the stuff we had to like make up ourselves. Like there was some freedom in that, which was cool. And like whoever had the best idea, like he was like, this person's winning. And it kind of made it like a competitive environment. And I hated that. Because I didn't feel like we were working together. It was like, who can impress him the most?
That's awful.
I didn't work well in that scenario, but I liked all my spots I was put into because he literally knew where everyone was going to go before he taught it. Like it wasn't like spread out and learn it. He was like, you're going to be on 0, you're going to be on 1, you're going to be on 2, back line, second line. And I was always in like good spots. So I was like, oh, he likes me, but I was afraid he was going to move me if I didn't like get the choreo right away. That's not fun to learn something when you're like
in fear,
nervous that they're in fear, like nervous that they're going to like take you out of it or something, you know? Once we got to tech, which where we went on the stage, it was, I like stood on the stage and I was like, oh my God, it's actually happening. Cause it was like a full year and a half of us thinking about the show and not actually like doing it because of COVID. So it just happened so fast. And once we got to the stage, we all were like sobbing.
Yeah.
COVID was like there, but not there. We all had to wear masks, but when we were on stage, we didn't have to wear masks. And then our like first preview, we were fine during tech, but our first preview, 1 person got COVID. And then our second preview, 2 people. And then third, 4 people. And it was like the entire ensemble was out of the show by our 7th preview, which was insane. But Hugh Jackman was still there. So they were like, the show is going to keep happening.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of money they lose if the show is canceled. So even Sutton was out. And we were like, oh, the understudy just like went on. She was amazing. Kathy Boyko. I love her.
Mitchell, it was like a big deal when Kathy went on. It was like during like the big like supportive understudies, and like she hadn't been rehearsed. It was like within the first few weeks. It was a massive deal. Hugh
Jackman like made a speech at the end of it and like was like
viral speech. Yeah.
I'm so happy I was there for it, but like 14 people were out of the show.
How many people were in the company?
There was a lot of us. I think on stage there was probably like 35, I think of us.
Which is huge.
Just like really half of the
like,
cast. Yeah.
Yeah. I know there was one section and my sister saw the show where like there was supposed to be like a couple of us doing like trombone section and all of the trombones were out besides me. So it was like not 76 trombones, it was like 1 trombone. It was hard to like learn this whole show. And then once we got put onto the stage, I was doing things that I've never rehearsed that they were like, hey, can you move this prop for this section? And then you're going to run back on and then do your track. It was so fun. But like, I was like, how is this allowed? Like I was doing things that just for the show to like keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love doing that stuff. It was so fun. And then Hugh got COVID finally. And we were out for 10 days. We were like, fucking like, what's going on here? It was crazy. There was one guy who was a swing who did like so many split tracks. He was like literally the entire ensemble because he was a swing. He was like the only one that was like not have COVID. We had a test every day, like go home, send a test in. It was crazy. But then they reset once we like were out for 10 days.
So
Mhm.
how much time was there between like your first rehearsals to then opening night?
I think we rehearsed for, I think, 2 months.
Okay.
And then we were in previews for another month and a half. I had COVID during previews. I remember that. It was like after everyone got it and everyone, we were like back to go. And then I was like, oh, I have COVID. And me and my friend Aiden were out for like 10 days.
Which I would argue is more stressful than getting it just during the open run because you're rehearsing during the day. So you
I'm
come back
happy.
and miss
Okay,
shit.
yes. Tell the people what this is like, because I think people just imagine that you're just like doing previews of the show, but based on what Joe just said, you're like doing rehearsals when you're not on stage.
Yeah. So we, especially for like that specific show, like we would have rehearsal during the day and then we would have the show, but we couldn't. And usually previews are like, you just to like watch the show a whole bunch of times and then you like fix certain numbers, but they couldn't do that because the ensemble wasn't there. So their job during rehearsals for previews was just to see what we can do for the show to happen. Like they were like, okay, this show you're going to be like doing this line. Like I had to like say a random line. I remember one show and like, you're going to have to move this prop. It was just like, there was one number where there was supposed to be like 7 trombones and there was only like 3 of us. This is like a different section at the end. And then the choreographer was like, this is so sad. Like my whole vision right now is just like shrunk down to like a trio. But yeah, rehearsals are supposed to be like for previews. It's just supposed to be to like clean it and then open. We actually didn't delay our opening. We had a long preview process, which was nice, but I think it's because of COVID, because everyone got it. And then we had 10 days off and then everyone was back besides me because I got it like right when we were back. But it was actually better for me because they already like fixed it all. So when I was back, I didn't have to learn any new choreo because it was already like set. And then opening night happened and like no one was out.
Well, take us through opening night. What was that day like for Nick?
I remember like being really like waking up and be like, oh my God, is this like really happening? But we've just been rehearsing it so much that I was just like afraid that something was going to go wrong before the show happened. And I was also like running around because I wanted to look good for like the opening night like pictures, because I just find that like I've always like grew up like watching that like people for opening night and stuff. So it was like getting my outfit ready. I looked so tan. And I remember like tanning and like getting like all the product for my hair. It was crazy. And the show was like the last thing I was thinking about, but lots of tears. I was crying. It was amazing. And then I remember my first time, because I covered one of the leads for that show. We opened in February and I went on for that role in May. And my first time going on for it was in the middle of the show. He was just like not feeling well. And during intermission, I was just like in my mic belt, in my dance belt, just like vibing in the middle of this random show. And then the stage manager was like, hey, you're going to go on for Tommy. I was like, tonight? Because it was 2-show day. And he was like, no, like right now. And I was like freaking out because I've only did it during rehearsals. Like I've never done it for like an audience. And it was in the middle of the show. So I had to do like act 2.
When's Tommy's big number? Act 1 or act 2?
It's kind of like 76 is in the first number, and then Shapoopy is like the opening of act 2.
Wait, so you had to open up the second act.
Kind of, yeah, with like a line, like a full like line. And they made an announcement during intermission, like the role of Tommy Giles will be played by Nick Alvino. And I was like, oh my fucking God, I can't believe this is happening. But I did it, and I'm so happy he called out that night too. So I got to do the whole show that night, which was amazing. My dad, like, I called him that day and I was like, I'm on tonight. And then he like came in. He was like the only one in the audience from my family. And he was like sitting like front row.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I saw him just like smiling. It was so funny.
How do you like refresh your memory in a situation like that? Like you've never done it before. It's been a second since you actually even like performed it at all.
Yeah, we had like put-ins and stuff. So I had that, and I remember my put-in went awful. Put-ins are like no audience, like the cast comes in, like you're the only one in a costume and a mic. There's other people who are probably doing different tracks too. And then there's like the team that watches and they just like give you notes.
They're horrible.
It's a little intense. I had to do it for Death of Concert too. Anyways, I did that. I didn't feel good about it, but I think it probably was for the best that they were like, it wasn't like a set date that they're like, hey, you're going to go on Tuesday night for this track. It was like, you're going on right now. And I didn't have time to think. I knew the lines because like I've knew them since I was like auditioning for the show, because that was like the audition. So they were like in my body. It was just interesting. I had no stamina for that specific track. So I remember my mouth being so dry and I was so out of breath because it was just like a full dance number. I was lifting. I ended the number in this huge lift and I'm like panting, and then I put her down and then scene happens. Like, And Jefferson Mace, who's like a Tony Award winner, like insane, just like comes out and starts screaming at me like in the scene. And then I do it all, and then I left the stage and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. And it just felt like so surreal. But you can't overthink anything. And I've learned that with theater is like, if you overthink or like think about someone watching it, like you have to be so present for the whole thing. And especially like with Death Becomes Her too, we'll get into that. But like, I was like, I've never done it with this whole cast. Like I did the put it and everything, but like, I was like, I can't believe they just like it's wild what theater does. Like they just put you in the show and you're like, good luck. And you just have to like do it and like know, you just have to know it. It's wild.
And that's if you get a put-in. Put-ins, Mitchell, aren't even like promised.
I'm lucky. Yeah. So, I mean, like that girl, Kathy, like who went on for Sutton during previews, like we had rehearsals that day. We just like kind of rehearsed it with her like that morning, but like, nope.
Horrifying.
Mm-mm.
She just had to like know the lines and it's insane.
I would literally throw up. I couldn't.
I know it's not this. It's definitely not for everyone. But like once you do it, it's just like you lock in. Like your adrenaline kicks, and you're like, oh, and it's just the best feeling afterwards. But during it, like I black out. But it's a wild ride. And Hugh Jackman was like, it was so cool to be dancing like next to him, and he said the nicest things to me. I remember like during that time when I was going on for Tommy a lot, and he just like made me feel so comfortable like while doing it. Same thing with Sutton. She was so cool. And I've like known them for so long. So it's just, like, it didn't feel like it was such an outer body experience. Like I didn't feel like I was like Sutton Foster's looking me in the eye on a Broadway stage. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
What was it like working with them? Is there anything that you learned from them?
They're such professionals, and that they're so in their element when they're on stage, and that's like undeniable when you see them. They're just super comfortable and patient, and they weren't afraid to like take pauses and risks. And like the show would sometimes be so much longer because the two of them would just like ad lib on stage for like a good 10 minutes. And it's just because they were just like having fun. They were like feeling the vibe. And same thing with me. There were so many like legends in that show. Like the older cast is like it was like either you were making your debut or you have a Tony Award. So we just like got to look up to that whole cast. And it felt like a family too. Like there was like the young like 8-year-olds, and then there was like the 20-year-olds, and then like icon legends. But yeah, and doing it all, like I didn't graduate school, I left school. So I felt like Music Man was like my like BFA like experience, like learning all like the etiquette of like backstage and what to do for like a put in, and like just the sense of like theater community. You just learned a lot, and we were just like shoved into it. It was a different time. It's interesting to start the theater experience during a COVID time, because people who have been in tons of shows, then like doing this one, they're like, this is so different, but like that's like kind of the only thing we knew. But I think every show teaches you something different.
Do you think there's an overall takeaway from Music Man that you had?
That show just like went so fast for me. I feel like to be honest, I learned a lot like after the show, those years during unemployment. That's when I learned like the city life and stuff. I really was in like my own little world with being on Broadway. Like I just moved to the city, just do a Broadway show right out of it. And once it ended, it was like, oh, who am I? Like during the entire time during the pandemic, I was like, oh, I'm like, my identity kind of felt like it was Music Man. So when it was over, I was like, oh, I don't know like who I am, or like what to do next, or like what I'm going to do next. So part of me was like, oh, I hope I just book another show right away, because that's what happened last time. And that really was not the case. And I finally got to like see the city too, like, and leave Hell's Kitchen. I was in the theater district like always, from like working and living here.
The schedule's so demanding. You didn't have time to do anything else. Yeah,
we had like rehearsals too, because I was an understudy, that like I had to go to a lot of the rehearsals, which were on the days where we didn't have anything like during the day. But yeah, I also wasn't like cooking for myself. Like I was spending so much money. I didn't know. I wasn't being a great adult until like my dad was like, hey, do you want to start saving money? And I was like, yeah, I'll think about it.
But in your defense, to come in at 21 with a Broadway equity contract check, like, baby, you're balling. Like, you don't know the difference. Like, Mitchell, it's like, I don't know what it was then, but like now it's like a hefty little sum to like.
Well, if you're living alone and like you're not supplying, like if you don't have kids and stuff like that, like
Right.
it's really sustainable and
For a
comfortable.
21-year-old moving to New York when like most people are working at like Soul Cycle for $16 an hour.
You're doing your side hustles. Like I was a
Yeah.
lifeguard making $16 an hour, like at home,
Right.
and then like
And now
just
you're getting this
doing.
Broadway check
I was like, where are we getting drinks after this?
on me.
Yeah, literally. My friends would come visit me in the city. I would pay for them. I'm like, who do I think I am? And now, bitch, we're splitting. Bitch, I'll Venmo request you.
Right.
Do you know what like Subway hot takes is?
Yes.
Where he's like, what's your hot take? And they're like on the subway talking. Have you ever seen it, Mitchell?
No.
He asked like random people like hot takes. And I like started like writing some down. But one of them was like, don't Venmo request your friend if the bill or the check or the cab or whatever is under $10.
No, I think it's so stupid. Yeah.
If I'm sending you a Venmo request that's like $5.90, I'm like, bitch, you can get that. If we're friends, I understand if it's
For
something
sure.
different, but like,
Yeah.
But even then, I'm just like, get me a coffee next time I see you. We all send back the same $100 at this point. It's just back and forth.
exactly. Money comes and goes.
Do you have a hot take that you're prepared to share with him if he interviews you?
Well, I wrote some down. Here, let me look it
Yeah.
up. Some of them are stupid. Let me see. Coffee should be less than $4. We all agree with that.
Agreed.
The word sure needs to be banished. Like if someone's like, oh, do you want to like go to the park? And they're like, sure. It's like, say yes. Like give me, or say no. Like give me a definitive answer.
Yeah.
The short, the like, it kind of, it's like cunty a little bit.
It lacks enthusiasm.
And it's like, do you really want to do it? I'm overthinking my entire relationship with you right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't banish it because it serves its purpose. I love using it when it's correct. However, for like friends and things you actually want to do, say yes. Like, do you want to go to a movie? Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
let's do it. Sure. I don't mean to inconvenience you, bitch. Like,
That's what I mean.
if it's, you don't have to come.
Yeah. Another one I have is, oh, don't dab up your gay friends. We don't like it.
Oh, like straight people dab you up? Yeah.
Yes. Like if I go home and I see a friend or like family and they give me this. Oh, are you watching Overcompensated?
Yes.
Over-
I've seen it twice.
I binge watched it. Do you know that one
The
scene where it's like this? And it's so funny. I was dying because I was like, that's exactly.
It's true. I feel like I don't know anybody who does that anymore, though. Next time I see you, Nick, we're gonna dab.
Okay, fuck yeah.
Let's talk about fun employment. So after Music Man, I'm getting back on track. You're unemployed. You're getting used to the city for the first time, really trying to figure out who is Nick outside of work. What is life like? Like, what are you doing day to day?
Over time, it kind of evolved. New York City is just literally about networking and about who you know. That's mostly how I get all my gigs and like side hustles and stuff like that. It's just like gigging. Social media also is like a big part of it. But I remember right after Music Man, I just spent like the entire year doing 8 shows a week. I was so exhausted. I had treated myself to like so many vacations. I had a boyfriend at the time. He's my ex now. But we went to London.
He's my
Why are you
ex now
laughing at
was so
that?
funny. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, he's playing the role as the ex right now.
I remember that era of you. You were never in New York.
I was like all over the place and I wasn't working, but I was auditioning. A little bit. I just like let myself like enjoy it. I had the money from Music Man and stuff like that until I didn't. I did City Center that summer, which was really fun.
Wait, since you're on the topic of auditioning, do you remember? I have had one audition with you, and it was the summer after Music Man, and it was Bad Cinderella.
Bitch. We did the dance call together?
Bitch.
I did a side aerial in that call.
Yeah, you
remember
did,
that?
bitch. Yes.
She was like, can you fan Ariel? And I was like,
Mitchell, when I tell you this is one of my worst auditions in the world, and Nick was there, and I contribute Nick to it being also part of the reason it was horrible because what a miserable day that was. Because that was like what, your first time in the room?
yeah. Were you in it for a while?
Yes. So this was a callback of mine. So I had walked in. This is a tangent. You can cut this. Nick and I've never talked about Bad Cinderella.
No, this is interesting. If you
At
were
the time, it was just called Cinderella.
Keep it in.
And so this was my callback, and I had been brought in for Prince Charming, and so had done all of it, and they're like, "Come back in. We love you. This is great." And I was like, "Oh shit! Like this is about to be my Broadway debut." Work, Mitchell. I walk in thinking it's another singing. I knew it was dance, but I was like, "Oh, but this is like a singer actor dance call. Like this is gonna be nothing." All of a sudden, Nick Alvino walks into the holding room. I'm like, huh. I was like, okay. Raymond Baynard walks into the holding room, and I'm like, when for Mitchell, Raymond Baynard is this beautiful 6'4"
Oh, I remember
ripped
him.
black man who is a like prima donna ballerina, one of the most beautiful dancers on the planet. And so I'm sitting here, and all of these Broadway dancers keep walking in. I'm like, no. We get into the room, and it is everyone else's initial dance call. And there they threw me on the floor. We had to do an across the floor first, which was horrific.
I don't even remember this audition.
I do, because it was horrific. I sat there shaking in my boots because I was the only non-dancer in the room.
Your agent didn't tell you like that it was going to be like a dancer room?
They didn't know. We weren't told.
No one fucking knew. You know what sucks about that is like, I'm so happy that I'm a dancer, but like going into auditions, everyone has to watch each other dance, but like no one has to listen to each other sing or do any sides and stuff like that. So like I always feel comfortable at an audition because I'm like, I always am like in my element when people are looking. Yeah. But like if we had to watch each other like do anything other than that, I would be petrified. It's so vulnerable.
Shot myself. And you're the only person I knew in the room. So I was like, at least I had Nick. However, Nick's a fantastic dancer. So I was like, fuck. And all I remember is it was you, me, and Raymond Baynard in line with each other doing it. And so I had Nick tumbling to my left. I had Raymond Baynard up in the sky doing like 18 pirouettes. And there was me not being able to fucking keep up with the slightest.
The show was called Cinderella until the reviews came out, and then boots.
It is one of my favorite stories. And I tell people all the time, I was like, my only experience with auditioning with Nick, and it was that. And I, with all due respect, never want to be next to you in an audition.
Let's fucking audition together. Manifesting auditioning with you.
No, thank you. No. My villain origin story.
When was that?
It was July of 2022.
After that, is that when you did Titanic?
Yeah, my next contract after that was Titanic.
And that's when I met Joe. I have a memory, Joe, of like when you came on the podcast the first time. It was like when...
With Tim?
Yes, but like I remember Bad Cinderella had been announced, and like there was lots of discourse about it. And I tried to bring it up as like a haha joke, and like I remember it being so shut down, and now it makes so much. Joe did not want to talk about Bad Cinderella. He was traumatized.
It was a touchy subject. It went from
now we're talking about it.
Yeah, 3 years later, I'm content.
Yeah, your book. Look what contract found you.
Yes.
Exactly.
Thank Tina.
We fast forward. I did a lot of my like gigs or like side hustles when I wasn't working, and when I like in between auditions and stuff like that. I did that. I did a lot of catering, and then I found a modeling agent, so I started doing that. And then I started like creating and choreographing because I was like, if work is not coming to me, I have to like create my own work. So that was something I like started doing a lot towards the end of last year. And then like I taught my first class this year, which was really fun. The in-between stuff, it's like mandatory. Like you have to do it. Everyone needs a side hustle. But I met so many people doing that stuff. And we're all actors too. Like everyone I was catering with, I never got mad about it. Like, cause we always just like kikied and have fun. And my boss like was like, I loved him and stuff like that. But now they're asking me to go back and like do some shifts. And I'm like, oh, after just being on Broadway, like.
Right. But how nice for you originally, I feel like, to like meet not normal people, or just like other people your age who may or not have had that success yet, who outside of work, like when you moved, those were your friends and your family, and now you're able to meet so many more people your age and kind of in that same boat. I feel like that would be actually like really nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Also, like a lot of the times in the industry, or like people that you meet out, they're like, oh yeah, this person was in this show. Like they're like, oh, nice to meet you. I'm in like whatever, like I'm in Aladdin, you know, like you introduce yourself with like the job you have.
Yeah.
And you never have to worry.
Yeah.
And most people are not working. Like most people are unemployed or doing like the in-between stuff.
Yes.
And I hate, we need to like break out of the, like the first thing you say to someone is what you're working on. Unless it's like,
or like, I never ask at this point. Like, I also don't give a fuck.
Yeah, same. And I'm wired to just be like, oh, well, I just started this new TV show. Like, just say something that like you're doing that like breaks the idea of working.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Just make it up. Yeah.
It's also hard. Like, I feel like, especially not even like younger, like the younger people are just, I think our age, like 10-year range, it's just the work has validated a lot of friendships and a lot of people you meet.
Totally.
And like, if you haven't met that quota yet, or you're at that standard, I've run into a lot of people who like write you off immediately.
Yeah. And people are like, I don't want to waste time in this conversation if it's not going to benefit me.
Right.
And the question of like, so what's next is
Horrible.
just always being asked.
Horrible.
And especially going home. Like I hated going home after Music Man because they were like, so what are you doing? Are you talking to Hugh Jackman? Is he going to get you your next job? Like things that make absolutely no sense. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm actually on FaceTime with him right now. Like I'm going to be in The Next Greatest Showman.
And they mean it so well. Like they mean it so like my dermatologist asked me that this morning. She was like, so what's next? And I said, Fort Wayne, Indiana. And then who knows?
But like in that year or so period, do you feel like you were able to kind of figure out who you were through that community, through those connections, through those one-off gigs?
Yes, I started not because I was always worried about money. Like later on when it was starting to go down, everything I made from Music Man. But then as money always just like came and gone. Like, you know, like money just comes and goes. So I never like started worrying about that. And then once I was like surrounding myself with people that were in the same boat and like didn't make me feel like my job was my identity, I felt way more comfortable. And I used to feel, I learned this like while I was taking class a lot, because I was taking a lot of dance class after Music Man. And just knowing that everyone is amazing and that like, it's not about being the best at dance, at singing, at acting. It's just like being right for the role. I would always like compare myself to people, but the second it like clicked for me is like when I was in class and I was like, wait, I can also like just appreciate how amazing this person is without thinking that they're better than me, because we're all doing the same thing. And like if someone books it, it doesn't mean that you're not good. It just means that like what they're doing is more right for like that role. And once that like clicked, I was like, it was just so easy for me to just like enjoy. I didn't have this like pressure of like being something more or bigger or of like, am I doing the right thing? I just was like, I just like had to keep going. Like you just have to keep yourself busy, which is so hard. Some days I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Even after Death Becomes Her, I'm like, I just did a Broadway contract and now I'm like feeling really, I just have like a lot more time on my hands.
But it's also okay to embrace that too at the same time, like allowing yourself to just sit.
Mm-hmm. I'm way better at it now than I was like when I was not good at having time.
Yeah, because you're always like go, go, go.
New York is also a horrible like factor in that though.
Yeah,
like you feel stupid for sitting at home all day in New York.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you're wasting time.
Unless you're working.
Yes, unless you have a job at the time where you're like, oh, I took the day, I called out, I just need to lay down. But when you're not doing that, babe, you wake up at 3 or 2 and go to the gym and that's it. You feel so horrible about yourself, which is so sad because it's not true literally at all.
It's also nice when you have like rehearsals and you have that schedule. I just like, it makes you appreciate when you have the work, like you don't take it for granted. Like every second I was in Death Becomes Her, that was just such a different experience because I went through unemployment for so long that when I had it, every second I was like, even if I felt tired or like wanted to complain, I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, this is the coolest thing I could be doing right now. Like I was so present and so grateful for it.
And how did that opportunity come across your desk?
I did my first class and they released songs from the show.
As in like a class you weren't like teaching people?
Yeah, I was teaching. I was like, oh, I'm going to have like a pop-up class in New York. Like have my friends come. I'm going to post about it and then like see what happens. But I picked a song from Death Becomes Her, was never went audition for it or anything like that. I saw the show and was like obsessed with it. I like started coming up with the combo. I taught the class. I posted it and the video like went pretty viral and a lot of people from the show and like even the choreographer like would comment and they reached out and they followed me and it was just like so kind. I wouldn't say that had a lot to do with me booking the show or any, but it did make the team know who I was, which was interesting. And then when there was a track that was opening because someone got hurt for Death Becomes Her, my agent like texted me, was like, hey, there's an audition tomorrow for an immediate replacement for Death Becomes Her. I was like, what the fuck is going on? They gave me sides. I had to sing a song and then I was going to do a dance. And I rehearsed the sides with my boyfriend like nonstop. He helped me so much with that. When I went into the audition, they were like, oh, I saw your video, like your Death Becomes Her video. And I was like, oh yeah. The audition happened and I felt good about it until I had to sing and I sang and the guy playing piano like totally fucked up my song. And I was like, I had to stop in the middle of it. Song? Yeah.
Oh, it's always the worst.
It's the worst. And he didn't know the song and I felt bad, but I had to stop and I was like, I'm sorry, this is just not working. And then I tried it again and it didn't work again. And I was like, sorry. Did the sides. That went really well, which thank God. I left the room and I was like, fuck, that's so disappointing. Like I definitely didn't get it. And then they were like, hey, can you actually come back in? And I went in, and then they were like, can you sing something else? Like anything in your book. So then I did. Fine. They're like, okay, great. And I think they like now knowing, like they knew that they wanted me. So they didn't want to submit something that wasn't great.
Sure.
I got a call like an hour later after the audition being like, it's between you and someone else. We have to like wait it out, but like it's looking pretty good for you. And I was like, what? Like no clue. I was packing for Mexico City that weekend. And then long story short, that night it was, I found out and I was like, I can't believe this is happening right now. It happened so freaking fast and out of nowhere. Started that weekend, rehearsed, and then finally like did the show. I had so many fittings for it. They made the costumes so fast because there's so many costumes and they're so hard to make. Because if you've seen it, it's like, it's pretty wild.
Your fits were everything.
They were so cool.
Yeah.
It was just such a fun experience. I also my first time like replacing a show, which is very different. Like it's all these people are like already a big family and they already have their relationships and they're dynamic and like you're just like coming into it. And I'm replacing someone who like who I've never met. And their show is going to look a little different than mine, but you have to like try to do your best to do their version of it. So they like sent me a video of like the archival of like what they did and stuff. So I really tried to do kind of what they were doing, but we looked nothing alike. He was the one straight guy in the show. So I kind of just like was a little more gay. But as the show like went on, I started getting to know the cast, and by the time I felt like really like connected with the cast, it was like my last show.
How long were you there?
6 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, that goes like this.
It flew fucking by. And by the last week, everyone was like, oh, it's your last week. Gonna miss you. And like, that was the conversations I was having for that entire last week. It wasn't like regular talk,
Normal.
you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, so that was like crazy. But my first show, I remember I had my put in that day and then they like threw me in. And I never did the show with Jen or Megan before.
I want to hear what it's like working with those two and Michelle fucking Williams.
You know, I was so freaking nervous to meet them. But I remember my first rehearsal, it was a music rehearsal in the theater. And I went up and then like I saw one of the dressers who was one of the dressers for Music Man. And he like introduced me to like a lot of the dressers and stuff. And we were going on. He's like, oh, this is Nick during the show. And everyone got the email that I was joining. And Megan was like, wait, you're introducing someone? And like, she like ran down and she was like doing her makeup. And she was like, hi, I'm Megan. Like, she was so freaking nice. And I was like, I can't believe this is Megan Hilty right now. I'm shaking her hand. Yeah. And she was like, welcome. And like, she like went out of her way to like say hi to me. It was just so cool. And then the first time I met Jen, I was like shadowing. So like I was backstage during the show and stuff like that. And she was like, oh my God, I heard like such amazing things. And she was really awesome. And then I had to do like, there was one thing that my track had to do with her. And we like had to like run it really quick before the show. And she like gave me a card, which was like really sweet. And I've like looked up to these women for so long. And like I saw the show and was like obsessed with them. And I was like, this is so cool. And I was obsessed with the show. Like, I can't tell you, it was like my favorite show I saw of the season. So to be in it, especially after getting so many no's from auditioning, it felt impossible to get a yes. It just that, you know what I mean? Like you're so used to getting rejected. Like when you got a yes, it didn't hit until I was literally in costume doing it. Oh, Michelle Williams. So fucking funny and nice. She was probably the one I was the least nervous to meet because her energy was so like, hey, what's up? Like she would talk to you. Like it wasn't any like status. Like her tracking was very different too. She was off stage a lot of the time. So she can like talk to us. But she was so cool.
Good.
Yeah.
I'd be cool terrified to walk into a building like that.
Yeah. I mean, everyone was also so much older. I felt like they were like the cool kids too.
Okay.
And like, there's a sense of like proving yourself. And the only people that are seeing you learn it is like the dance captains. And the only time people ever see you do your thing is during your put in. You had like one rehearsal with some swings, but like, I feel like I would have learned them fastest if I just like was straight onto the stage and like dancing it all, like with everything, but they can't do it. Like there's so much moving during the show that like you can't rehearse it. Really, most of it. But and my put in was like I was the only one in costume, and everyone wore mics, but it was like everyone in like sweats and like sweatshirts, and I'm in like a tight leotard, like
making like stupid choices, cracking jokes,
They said try to be full out, and I was the only one who having a put in. We ran the whole show, even though I wasn't even in the whole show. It was like for timing, especially for the track I was doing. When you're not on stage, you're doing something off stage, like you're changing.
Singing.
There's like makeup, singing, like mics, wigs, all of the damn things.
On your opening night, you posted a video of you with Megan and Jennifer during the bows. Did you know that was going to happen?
No. And by that time it was bows and I was like, I did it. And my boyfriend was sitting like right in the front and I was like, hey. And I just was like, oh, finally it happened. And then like, there's like in the bows, we like all point to them. And I like got pushed. I was like, what's going on? I had no clue that was going to happen. They grabbed my hands and I will never forget it, but it was so surreal. I was like, I can't believe I'm bowing like in between these women. And I'm so happy it was on video because I was shocked. And I was like, did that really just happen? It was very that moment, but I had no clue. And everyone in the cast was so kind and happy and supportive to me. And it was just like it was really cool. It went so fast. I hope I go back eventually. Like, it was a really fun show. I know they're going on tour.
I was gonna say, would you do the tour?
I think about it. It depends what my life will look like in 2026. But like, it is a fun show. I probably would, but I don't really want to tour. I want to stay in New York. If the show is still on Broadway, I feel like I will be on Broadway.
I feel like it's not going anywhere for a while.
It's doing well, but I have no clue.
You said that your family came to see the show and they came in blind, did not know anything about it.
Didn't tell them a single thing about the show. And there's a whole song called For the Gays, and my ass is actually out.
The opening number, pretty much.
Opening number, yeah. My dad loved it. I remember like when I was bowing, he was like dancing in his seat, and I was like, slay. Yeah, and like some of my like Trumpy aunts like came, and they all loved the show, but I think they like separate like their gay nephew to like a Broadway show. I don't know. Sometimes they kind of just like ignore the fact that I'm gay and they're just like, oh, you're a dancer, you're a Broadway, like that's your job. I don't know.
Yeah.
My sisters like a lot of people loved it. There's a lot of gay references though in the show that I'm sure went over all of their heads.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like they're like, why is she Dorothy at the end of For the Gays?
Why is she that lady in red? They're like, who's that?
I know my sisters have no idea who Liza Minnelli is.
All those videos and all those photos of your huge family coming were just so sweet to see.
Yeah. I mean, I remember for Music Man, my first show, they didn't even see the first preview that I was in, but they're from Long Island, obviously. So all of them came and like printed my head out, and I walked out of the stage door and they were all just like there, just like, I have a picture of it somewhere. Family's tricky, but they're really supportive. It just kind of seems sometimes it's like, they pick and choose what they want to support, which is like kind of, we all get it as like gay people. Like,
yeah. Nick, I love to ask this question to everyone when they come on this podcast for the first time. If you think about a younger version of Nick, maybe Nick when he is 10 or 11 years old, just getting into dance, or back when you're doing sports, or when you're having your first boyfriend, is there any advice that you would give to him?
Get a job. No, I'm just kidding. Wake up, kid. No, I'm kidding. I would probably say to my younger self, that's such a cute question. I would probably just say like, hey, Nick, how are you? Embrace the things that you feel that don't fit you into like your family or your school. Embrace all of that. Because that's what makes you you. Don't try to like fit into a box, and continue to be kind to people. And I will always say that kindness and being the energy and the vibe of the room, like bringing that into everything you do, continue to be yourself, because people are attracted to other people who are like confident and are themselves. Don't stray away from that. I feel like that it's a pretty generic answer, but I stand by that.
No. I think that's great advice.
Embrace your gayness.
Yes.
I always say being gay is such a gift, and it like forces you to think like differently than everyone else. I mean, for me, like being around all the people who weren't like me at all, like if I don't know where I would be if I wasn't gay, you know? Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for this. This was so fun.
No,
we just hung out for a couple hours.
Yeah. Well, Nick, thank you so much for doing this and being here. It's been so fun. Do you want to give everyone your socials that can follow you?
Yes, Nick Alvino with 2 O's because Nick Alvino was already taken on Instagram, and Nick.Alvino on TikTok.
And thank you, Joe, for co-hosting with me today. Do you want to give everyone
My
your socials
co-hosting
as well?
debut. Did I do okay, Mitchell?
Oh my gosh, you crushed.
Did
You
I derail
crushed,
us
Joe.
too heavily this time?
No, I loved it. I loved it.
Oh my gosh. God bless. My Instagram is my name, at Joe Hornberger. I don't remember what my TikTok is. I don't think it's that, though.
Is it Hornberger still? Or no?
Yes. Okay. Yes. I don't really use it anymore. But it's there if you want to find some things.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mitchell.
Thank you, love you.
You guys can follow the podcast on Instagram at UnpackTHT and on TikTok at UnpackThatPod. Have a good rest of your week. See you guys next time. Bye, everyone.
Boots!